Welcome. Good afternoon. I see more people are joining. So, as I was saying, welcome. My name is Julie Castermans from Ertico ITS Europe. I'm part of the CCAMbassador coordination team, together with my colleague Stefan Dreher, who's the project coordinator, but who unfortunately couldn't be here today. We are happy that you could all join us today because we really keen on organizing this introduction presentation of the project in a face-to-face interactive way because we thought it would be nicer and more efficient to situate, first of all, CCAMbassador in the CCAM Partnership project ecosystem, but also to clarify our role to support the other CCAM projects and the interactions or input we require from you in order to help us achieve our objectives. Before I continue, I'd like to introduce shortly our proposed agenda for the meeting today. So after my introduction and overview of the project, I will hand over to the respective activity leaders who will present these for you more in details and especially in line with the required interaction with the CCAM project. I also wanted, to mention that if you have questions during our presentations, we have a tight agenda as you saw, so please write them in the chat and we will try to take them by the end of the webinar if we have enough time, and if not, as a follow-up after the webinar, we will answer them. So CCAMbassador, it's the latest project started in this lineage of coordination and support actions funded by EC in the field of CCAM that started in 2013 with the VRA, followed by Cartre, Arcade, and then FAME, which we took over from in June of this year for a duration of 3 years. You see here our consortium partners, and we also have 2 associated partners in Switzerland, IRF and TPG. I was telling you that we took over from FAME, so it means that we are continuing enhancing some of the activities of FAME, and then of course we have some new ones. Talking about the ones we are continuing, there is, of course, the engagement of the wide CCAM stakeholder community, including, of course, the CCAM projects.
I'm not sure that the slides are moving. At least for me, we are still in the intro.
Okay.
On the cover, yeah.
Does it move now?
No, because I think you have to take back the control from Satu. It says to me, I think that she has the control now.
Sorry, I was seeing something else on my.
There.
Yes. Do you see it now?
Yeah.
Thank you. Because of course I was completely convinced you were seeing exactly the same thing I had on my screen. Apologies for that. Does it mean that you also didn't see the first slides?
No.
We only saw the cover.
Okay, so that was the agenda. Sorry, guys. And then this was the first slide with the facts and figures of CCAMbassador. Sorry about that. Of course, the material will be shared with you after the webinar. So going back to the objectives then of the project, after this first objective related to the stakeholder engagement, we also have the one related to the EU-CEM or European Common Evaluation Methodology for CCAM that we are maintaining. and which we are supporting the use through the necessary training, and namely for the CCAM projects, but also potentially member states and national funding authorities. And on the basis of the collected feedback, we will update the EU-CEM Handbook by the end of the project. We're also continuing our support to international cooperation activities and the cooperation with the EU member states, namely through the CCAM Partnership, the States Representative Group. And we are maintaining, enhancing, of course, the CCAM knowledge base with some new focus of targeting additional stakeholder groups, which brings me to the new activity. So we are assessing and raising the awareness and preparedness of, on the one hand, general public, non-experts, citizens, and on the other, the implementers, or if you want, the operators, public authorities, policy and decision makers. And then we are also defining the key building blocks for deployment. What does it mean in terms of expected impacts and benefits, and with specific interest for the CCAM projects? We foster cooperation, exchange between the extended CCAM stakeholder community. By extended, I mean beyond the strict membership of the CCAM partnership. And that includes, of course, the CCAM projects, to exchange this best practices, experiences, and of course also your results, all to support faster transitions from R&I to operations. We also facilitate the comparability, consistency of study results, all to have high quality impact assessment indication of CCAM contributions to societal target. And we support dissemination and capitalization of knowledge from your activities to improve awareness of the global CCAM ecosystem, CCAM activities, stakeholder needs and challenges, again, to accelerate deployment. What does it then, graphically speaking, represent? So these are the projects, if you want, the pillars or our own building blocks, which the activity leaders will now present in details for you. So from stakeholder engagement and building block definition that Caroline Zacchaeus will present in a minute, to the awareness and capacity assessment and raising that Laura Babio will then present, to the use and enhancement of the EU-CEM methodology, which Satu Inama later will tell you more about. And all the results from these activities will eventually be available in our common repository, the CCAM knowledge base, which Daniel Franco will tell you all about by the end of this meeting. So now over to Caroline Zacchaeus for the stakeholder engagement and building blocks definition. Caroline is the related activity leader in CCAMbassador, and she's also senior innovation consultant at VDI IT. Caroline, I'll let you take over.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So yeah, then let's start with a little bit more detail on the activities Julie already mentioned. So we're starting with the strategic CCAM ecosystem and stakeholder consultation. Stakeholder consultation also means, of course, like we are planning strong interactions with all the CCAM projects, but not only that, also, of course, beyond to further widen the CCAM ecosystem. So the objectives here are, on the one hand, the facilitation of consultation and consultation for the CCAM ecosystem. We are also looking into different national and international cooperation opportunities and how to stimulate them further. We are now also looking into consensus building on R&I needs, also building on all the activities we've done in the FAME project already. And then one step forward or one step further, we are now trying to support the transition to CCAM operations, also with that defining and indicating be certain aspects of deployment building blocks. And then finally, as also done in the FAME project already, we are looking into identifying and also sharing lessons learned and harmonization needs for deployment. If we look into, now I cannot go forward with my, this is too far, presentation anymore. Okay, if we look into the first aspects of the coordination of the CCAM community engagement and events, as I mentioned, I think it's a continuation of our activities that we have done in the FAME project already, is to align with internal and external stakeholders and also to gather input and support engagement activities and events. The gathering input is not only for the stakeholder engagement itself, but also for all the other activities that the other partners will tell you about in a second. Who is this addressed to? This is, of course, to a diverse range of different stakeholder types and stakeholders in the CCAM ecosystem. So it is also addressed to you as a CCAM project, but it should really go beyond and address all kinds of stakeholders and stakeholder representative group. It's, of course, going on throughout the entire project duration, and our ideas and what we have planned, we will set up a stakeholder forum to concretely facilitate and also support interaction between the different stakeholders, but also to gather input on certain thematic aspects and also information needs that we want to collect for the projects. We are going to continue the idea of the CCAM live talks and webinars. There will be, of course, also the EU-CEM conference and 2 EU-CEM symposia. And we are also looking forward in all kinds of aspects for input collection to send questionnaires, also specifically to the CCAM projects. Going one step forward, looking into the mapping of the European CCAM ecosystem. We have already done a first mapping of the European RNI activities and the respective stakeholders within the FAME project. And the idea now is to also widen it not only to the RNI landscape, but also to more deployment activities, but also looking into not only the European interaction, but also interaction in the different member states. So looking into initiatives that are also very active in the different member states and how to best align them with European activities. Also, this, of course, is addressed to the entire CCAM ecosystem and shouldn't exclude anybody. And it has been already started, and we are planning to start the so-called hot phase to really engage also with other stakeholders in the beginning of 26. And also here, the stakeholder forum will be a good means to collect, and from your side also to bring input. And we are looking also into different feedback from the CCAM projects on national CCAM initiatives. And then what I mentioned already, the next step towards deployment is to map and to also then get recommendations for deployment building blocks. In here, we started to have a structure on the different building blocks, as you can see down there, and we are going to start filling these building blocks with first ideas, and then we are also very much interested in the expert feedback from the entire ecosystem, and also specifically from the projects that are within the related clusters towards the building blocks, to get the feedback on what do you see are the barriers, but also the needs to come forward with the CCAM deployment. Then, we are not only looking into national and European activities, we are also continuing our ideas for the international cooperation. Also here, we had in FAME already a good setup of activities on the one hand side to support the government level bilateral cooperation and exchanges. But also we identified RNI cooperation opportunities and got a set of recommendations on future R&I collaboration and roadmap development ideas. So the idea is now also to continue this and also add additional information on more deployment related operational and service implementation activities on the CCAM side. We are going to organize 2 international workshops, and there will also be further collection of experiences and exchange on international cooperation opportunities, also exchange with the different CCAM projects. And as you see on the right-hand side, started in FAME also already, there have been some matchmaking activities on project level, and this for sure will be also continued within the CCAMbassador project. And then the final activity regarding the ecosystem activities is the harmonization of testing and deployment regulations. The idea behind that is support national authorities in adopting recommendations for a European framework for testing on public roads that has been already developed by the FRAME project, but now needs to be set in place. And this will be done through a different set of workshops and webinars. And then the second step would be to look into the harmonization of regulatory frameworks for deployment of automated vehicles. And there we are, of course, also looking for input and expertise on those topics. And I think with that, we can give it over to the next activities.
Yes, thank you, Caroline. So the next activity is about awareness raising and capacity building. And the related activity leader is Laura Babbio. She's a traffic efficiency cluster lead, just transition co-coordinator at Police. Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Julie. Let me quickly take control. Perfect. So hi, everyone. Good afternoon. The name of the activity is pretty self-explanatory. What we are really trying to do here and what we are focused, especially now on our first year, is on first mapping all the existing approaches, all how the projects have conducted their own awareness raising, capacity building, and their different assessments, and understand already what are the gaps, what is missing, what hasn't been done yet, and to develop a harmonized framework to guide assessments and future capacity building and awareness raising activities, to guide these activities in CCAMbassador, but also to generate this harmonized framework for future CCAM projects so that we can all measure the same way, looking at the same elements, and in the end to enable that comparability also between projects. So that's really the focus this first year, this mapping and this development of the framework. And then we'll actually in CCAMbassador also perform some activities to assess the readiness of the implementers, the awareness of the citizens, and then also to deliver specific capacity building activities and public awareness campaigns using the CCAM knowledge base as a key tool to enable our activities. But Daniel will talk more about the knowledge base. So as I mentioned, this year, we are really focused on the mapping, on creating an inventory and a framework. Once that's done, we'll start with the assessments. We will do an assessment of readiness levels of implementers, what we call, what Julie mentioned before, the public authorities and the operators. We will look at topics such as governance, planning, organization skills, procurement, data handling, and overall the operational preparedness of these implementers for CCAM deployment. As I mentioned, we are targeting the public authorities at the national level, at the local level, and at the regional level, and we are targeting both public transport operators and logistics operators. We are doing this year the mapping, the framework, and then we'll actually start the assessment by mid next year in July. And we will have the results throughout 2027. And by the end of 2027, we'll have all the report and anything coming out of the results, as well as a summary of the methodology of this harmonized framework. The concrete activities that we are going to perform, this is what we are working on defining right now with this framework. We know for sure that we will have some sort of workshops and focus groups, but we are really going over all the assessments that have been done by other projects to really understand what's missing and to avoid overlapping as much as possible. What would be interesting from all the CCAM projects, past and future, whenever there is a time overlap that we can really work together, is to get the insights from your own assessment and the capacity building activities, and to have access to the partners that follow our targeted group, so cities, regions, operators that are in the project, because we have some important KPIs, and the bigger our audience, the better. In parallel to the readiness assessment, we'll do the awareness assessment, where here we are focusing on the citizens and on specific user groups like public transport users, for instance, drivers, logistics, the workforce, and we want to look at understanding the concerns, the expectations, and what are the information gaps related to CCAM. It follows the same timeline as the readiness assessment. We'll start mid next year and we'll have the results by 2027. Same as before, the format is being defined right now through this framework, but we know for sure that we will include a large scale survey. This is planned, but we will probably also carry out other activities to have a comprehensive assessment. What we look from other projects is, again, your own insights on the user and citizen engagement activities, tools that they use, and any access to potential events that you might be organizing that could be interesting to link also to CCAMbassador. So once we do both the readiness assessment and the awareness assessment, looking at all our targeted groups, we will follow up with capacity building activities, responding to the readiness assessment, trying to also, if we identify missing key gaps to enable deployment, trying to fill those gaps, trying to really cover the actual needs that we experience from the implementers. So we will create a capacity building program for the same groups as before, the national, local, regional authorities and the operators, both for public transport and logistics, and to try to prepare them, giving the practical steps needed to prepare for this CCAM deployment. The activities will start by the end of next year. So as you can see, we have some overlap between the assessment and the activity. This is on purpose, so we can really ensure that one fits into the other and that we are aligned in how we are carrying out the work. The format, as before, is to be defined in detail, but we know that we will have some in-person trainings, that we are going to have specific materials for the knowledge veins addressing these target groups, and that we are also going to have some sort of guidelines for the national level. What we are looking also from the projects is any training material that you already have that can be reused or adapted, opportunities to link these trainings with actual project demos and pilots so that you can really provide a lived experience, because in CCAMbassador we do not have pilots, but it would be interesting that these activities where we are really trying to engage with the stakeholders that are tied to real experimentation and to real projects that go beyond a workshop and whatever we can provide in a more qualitative way. And then finally, matching our capacity building program, we'll also have a series of awareness raising campaigns where it's going to be public facing campaigns, really targeting the general public, users, specific groups that we identify during the assessment as needed more support. And what we're going to really do is communicate clearly about CCAM, address concerns, address myths, and supports understanding of the benefits and the limitations. We'll also start at the end of next year in 2026, and then the format, again, to be defined, but we know that we will include some sort of social media campaigns, open days, public events together with bigger conferences. And one of the interesting things also coming from these tags is the developing of a toolbox of materials also that can really help us raise the awareness beyond what we aim to do, because in the end, a lot of citizens to cover in Europe, so any extra help will be welcome. And here what we need is any existing materials, visual added insights already from public demos and open days, information that you have already gathered about recurring needs or misunderstandings among the general public, and also opportunity to link these open days with project demos. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Laura. So now over to Satu. So Satu Inama will present the EU-CEM and our related work, of which Satu is the activity leader, and Satu is also principal scientist at VTT. And I now let Satu take over.
Thank you very much, Julie. Yes, about EU-CEM, the abbreviation for Common Evaluation Methodology for CCAM, as Julie mentioned in the beginning. So it is a handbook or methodology published in a handbook format in May 2025. So let's say roughly half a year ago. It was prepared by FAME project, and it aims to provide establish solid foundation for evaluation, and especially for impact assessment. We had some objectives for this methodology. We had to ensure that those who follow it can guarantee that it leads to high quality evaluation, that we provide common vocabulary and basis for these evaluations. We share the lessons learned and good practices that have been found. We support comparability and complementarity, and ensure that if you exploit these results, you have high quality input for decision and policy making, supporting both industry and authorities. For whom is it? Well, it doesn't really matter what is your role. So there are a lot of different stakeholders involved in these evaluations. So we have professionals who are planning and conducting evaluations. So that's an obvious audience, but also there are some guidelines for project coordinators and proposal evaluators. So what to take into account when planning such activities. What type of activities is it for? Well, there are, let's say, three main categories. You can do ex ante impact assessment, so where before something is deployed, it can help you to prepare for these deployments and uptake by identifying unintended outcomes that may require mitigation. Second category is ex post evaluation. So once you have already deployed something, you can assess the impacts of the CCAM systems. The third category is if you are designing or deploying initiatives or these systems in the real world, you can also do that, the design by trying to maximize the societal benefits. Sorry. So we are addressing all kinds of CCAM systems, automation of road transport for people and goods, higher level automation, so thinking about SAE levels 3 and higher, can be with or without connectivity, and all kinds of use cases on public roads. Handbook has several chapters. Chapter 2 is about guidelines that are aimed for when you are preparing your project, when you have not really started. Chapter 3 is for guidelines for how to make a very good evaluation plan that is then feasible to deploy. Chapter 4 provides evaluation area specific guidelines. This is mostly for sake of harmonization. And then Chapter 5 provides some guidelines for how to report your outcomes and how to provide feedback for the next updates of the handbook and methodology. So there in this Chapter 4, we have 18 different evaluations covered. It might not be sufficient for all your projects, so there might be also new impact areas that you have now a task to explore. So we are very happy to hear about those, and then in the next update that will be made in less than 3 years, we would love to also include then the impact areas that are not listed in the current version 1. If your project has requirement to be compliant or to use the EU-CEM methodology, make sure that you do so. Because in the past, there have been some methodologies which have been kind of let that anyone can decide when to say that you follow it, but we wanted to make it sure that that there is like definition for the compliance with the EU-CEM. So go to chapter 1.4 in the handbook, and that tells you specifically what are the minimum requirements if you want to do that. Because those project officers are now aware of this, and they will be following if this has been if the requirements are met or not. So this is just a small hint for you. About the support that we provide for the EU-CEM users. I mean, it was published a little while ago. 1 year earlier, we published a draft. We had a lot of feedback and dialogue with the CCAM community, and we are very thankful for that. But now that the final outcome is out there, obviously it hasn't been used by many people yet. So we want to support the first users and all kind of users. So we are providing this kind of what we call methodology clinics. So online sessions where you are happy to join, free discussion. We are focusing on whatever is that you want to discuss. So your challenges, your questions. It doesn't matter whether you are more advanced user or whether you are just somebody who's opening the book for the first time. So we are there to help. So in the knowledge base, I have here a link. There is a page where there is a registration for these. So we have these 4 times a year, and you can register for the future sessions. Those who have something that cannot be discussed in a group or who need immediate help or so, we also provide these help desk activities. So we are ready for these one-on-one discussions, and we can go for your project-specific topics if you have an urgent need for those. And also for these help desk activities, you can request help on or you can find instructions on this knowledge base page how to request for help. So in practice, it is an email address that you can send an email to. Yeah, as said, I've already mentioned many times this knowledge base. So there is this section, Common Evaluation Methodology. It's under the evaluation methodology or methodology guidelines or whatever is the name of the section. Anyhow, there you can download the handbook. You can read the handbook online. It has some summary versions. It has some additional material. And here we are also will add some online training module material and all kind of supporting material along when we get material ready. And this is also why we are listening to your questions and try to support or provide support for those topics that we see that are the most important ones that require some additional support. So this knowledge base is a living space, and there will be more material added there, and hopefully it will be providing you more and more support within the duration of CCAMbassador project. And this is that was my last slide. I'm now handing over to the next one.
Thank you, Satu. And the next one and our final speaker is Daniel. So he will present to you all about the famous knowledge base. It's been mentioned quite a few times now. Daniel is the respective or related activity leader, and he's a senior consultant and researcher at Ruprecht Consult. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thank you, Julie, and hello, everyone. Yes, so I will tell you about the CCAM knowledge base, which I hope that you are familiar with, and but we can have a look at what you can find there and also what the project is doing to update it and enhance it. So as my colleagues have mentioned, the knowledge base is basically the EU's ultimate repository, consolidating all of the knowledge and experiences related to CCAM in Europe and worldwide. And it's meant to provide you with a searchable and very intuitive baseline of information of transferable knowledge for your and also other stakeholders, operators, future research, deployment, and testing of CCAM. I think it's really important that you, let's say, take ownership of also this as a European, let's say, product, as a tool, as a platform to feed and to use actively. Because of course it does require, continuous updates and being able to reflect the evolving CCAM R&I landscape, and of course, in this sense, active contributions, feedback from stakeholders, from yourselves is really important. And I want to start with this graph, that's again sort of bringing you back to the building blocks of the project, sort of to highlight the role of the knowledge base as, let's say, our means to disseminate the work that is being done in the project in terms of the results of the different activities that my colleagues have already mentioned, and the information that we're collecting through the analysis of the stakeholder ecosystem, through the updates of the EU-CEM, but also the evaluation of the needs and let's say, the resources and knowledge that is out there from the different stakeholder groups. It's all fitting into the knowledge base, and that's where you're going to be able to find also results from the project, as been mentioned already. And a big goal of our project in the sense is to not only maintain and strengthen the knowledge base role as the one-stop shop information baseline for all of the CCAM topics in Europe and beyond, but also to improve it, to enhance it, to have better user experience, and to provide tailored content to other target groups. Of course, strengthening that one for research and innovation groups, which already are the main target of the knowledge base, but to expand it as well towards implementers. And this means, as you see there, public authorities, national authorities, operators, infrastructure providers, etc., and as well to the general public, to user citizens, and to also facilitate your engagement with citizens and users in the different projects, right? So the project is going to develop specific knowledge hubs for each of these target groups. The knowledge hubs are still being designed, and for this, of course, also the engagement and consultation with different experts and the projects is going to be also important to feed into what information is out there and what is needed for each of these hubs. But the goal of each of them is to provide targeted content, so to link to those specific areas of the knowledge base which are of particular interest to each of the target groups, but also to provide additional resources and as well improve the way that you can explore and identify specific information in the knowledge base, in part also through a new advanced search functionality which is being developed and which is going to make it much easier to find yourself around the knowledge base and really be able to identify the information that you need very quickly. In terms of what you can find there, if you're not familiar with it already, there's a lot of different sections. Of course, the research and innovation project section is of particular importance for our audience today. There you can find the list of all of the different projects, both but also national levels, as well a map of the test sites. I'm going to look at that in a moment. There's also a section on policies and regulations with updated national and European regulations and worldwide. There's a section on strategies and action plans. Of course, you've heard about the EU-CEM Handbook and how you can find there not only the handbook, but also other resources on how to use it. The data sharing framework with also data catalogs and guidelines, and of course also a list of standards and standard bodies as well, with a very comprehensive outline. And of course, there's also the news and events section, which is we're going to look at in more detail towards the end, but which I also want to highlight together with the EUCAD information when each time the conference and symposium comes around. Going into some of those specific sections, starting again with the CCAM Research Innovation Projects and Initiatives. There you can find a comprehensive overview of European and national projects, and an interactive map where you can see all the different testing and demonstration locations, as well as a list of lessons learned that have been captured through the different projects. And what the project is aiming to do is to enhance this map to provide additional information on different testing and pilots that have been conducted. And for this as well, what we can achieve through engaging with the project with you directly and finding out more information about the pilots that you're conducting so that they can be showcased here on the long term is going to be really important. And we want to also have an additional map with not only testing and pilots, but more specifically CCAM operation and deployments, and to enrich the lessons learned list. So this let's say active contribution and engagement with you through interviews, through other engagement mechanisms to collect those lessons learned are going to be really important. And in that way, you can also feed your research through looking back and identifying what other projects have already been able to work and find out on. And another quite new subsection in their research and innovation project section is what we call the CCAM Toolkit. And this is meant to be an inventory, a repository towards the long term of all of those key outputs of the CCAM research and innovation projects. We're talking about tools, methodologies, hardware and software, different manuals, guidelines, capacity building activities, everything that could, be those key exploitable results of a project, and that to avoid them just, let's say, being only available on the project websites. And while those project websites are available, we would encourage you to also contribute those and submit them, apply for them to be showcased here in the CCAM Toolkit, which is then ensuring that these are going to be searchable and findable in the long term, and they're going to be able to reach the CCAM community. There's a very easy to fill in submission form, which you can find through this QR code here. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. Once you have submitted the information there, I will be in contact with you to clarify if anything is missing, to request also for some images so that it can be promoted also visibly. And then it's going to be shown in the toolkit. So if you have any questions, please do write in the chat or let us know. Then, of course, without taking too much time, I want to go through some of the other key sections just to let you know what you can find there and what is mainly relevant. On the policies and regulation aspect, as mentioned, there's a very comprehensive overview, not only at EU level, but worldwide and on the national levels as well. So if you're needing to find and work with that information, I encourage you to use it as your source of information. And if you find also that there's some information missing, or if you have questions, you can always, of course, contact us and provide feedback. There's, in this way, guidelines for the projects to use these sets of regulations and norms on each of these different governance levels. Another new tool, or let's say not new, but recent developed by the FAME project is the taxonomy, which builds on the CCAM glossary to provide also definition beyond the definitions, also standardized and harmonized classification of the CCAM related terms, allowing for comparability and complementarity, so that you can also have, let's say, a harmonized way of referring to different terminology, and we can promote knowledge exchange and have let's say, a common basis of knowledge in that sense through the European research and innovation. I would encourage you also to go there, and if you find as well that maybe some terms are if anything is missing, which it probably shouldn't, but as we have to keep this, of course, up to date and always feeding with new information, please to also contact us. There's, of course, also strategies and action plans section, where you can find an extensive collection of published strategies, action plans, not only by government bodies, but also by the academic organizations and the industry. It's very easy to filter and find yourself around. And also it's a place where you can see the different applicable results from your project. So if you're working on roadmaps and strategies within your projects, is also the correct place to showcase them and promote them. Data sharing and standard sections as well are quite valuable information that you can find there with up-to-date list of the available standards, also very easy to filter and browse around with different technology domains, the status, the year, and of course you can find also the CCAM data sharing framework and its latest version, addressing all different aspects of data management, metadata descriptions, protection guidelines, etc. And a very comprehensive data catalog with relevant sources, as well as, of course, the demonstrator of the federated data sharing concept developed by the Frame project and continue to be hosted through CCAMbassador in the CCAM test and data space subsection. And finally, and as I see, we doing quite well on time anyways. We do want to, let's say, reiterate the importance of this means of engagement with the CCAM community. So when you have upcoming events, workshops, project activities, webinars, etc., that you want to reach out to the different stakeholders in the CCAM community, please let us know. They can be, of course, then showcased here, be part of projects newsletters, and of course the news, the different results of your projects should also be depicted here in the news section of the platform. You're going to receive later on by Julie already the different emails where you can reach out to us. And of course, there's a feedback form as well in the knowledge base itself. In the next few days, we're also running within the knowledge base a pop-up consultation, which is going to allow you to provide feedback not only on the content, but also on the user experience. Let us know what kind of things you find that work well, what could be improved by the project in the next months. The project is going to be doing, let's say, a more in-depth redesign of the platform, not only with the hubs, but also with all the different functionalities which I've mentioned, and as well the way that the user interface is depicted. So your contributions, your feedback are really important at this point to address those and tailor it to what you need for your work in a better way. So I hope that you're in contact with us in that sense, and that we can continue to engage and provide you with information for your work on CCAM research. That's all from my side, Julie. I would give it back to you then.
Thank you, Daniel. I don't know if there's any burning question in the audience. I certainly didn't see anything written in the chat, but if you want to ask a question right now, just raise your hand and I can unmute you so you can ask it directly to our presenters. Okay, so no immediate reaction. As I was saying, the chat will remain open. Of course, we will do some follow-up email to you all with the material presented here today, the recording, if only because not all the projects could attend. But of course, also expect some follow-up requests from us in line with the different type of information we would like to collect, inputs that you saw presented here today. So it won't come as a surprise. So before I show the final, let's say, scripted part of my closing, I would like just to then remind you some of the key information presented here today that I would like you to take away. As you saw, there's going to be quite a number of engagement activities for exchanging with you, collect input from you, so from workshops, the UCAD events, of course, webinars, survey. There will be this co-creation online stakeholder forum, all towards building, including with the CCAM project, these recommendations for the deployment building blocks. We'll also would like to collect from you the international cooperation needs and opportunities. We'll also need to collect your existing studies, results, analysis in relation with the assessment of awareness and capacity of citizens on the one hand and these implementers. So that is for our mapping towards the own analysis that the project will carry out. We would also appreciate access to the concerned or related stakeholders participating in your own project consortia, and invitation to perhaps present or be there alongside your own project events, demonstrations, so that we can also hope to engage with these specific target audiences who are trying to reach, and that will not be possible without your support. Then, of course, we hope that you will use the EU-CEM and then provide some feedback so that we know what's to be improved. And of course, last but not least, all your key exploitable results, news and events, we can promote them. We should include them in the knowledge base. All the project related information from the pilot sites locations, anything that is relevant in line with the respective current sections of the knowledge base, where you see that you have something to contribute from your own projects. And to do that, yes?
Just going to comment that if you thought that you were changing slides.
No. That was my, let's say, notes or takeaways, which were not scripted, and now to the scripted part. So in order to do this, as Daniel was saying, you have on the knowledge base, and you can access it directly through this QR code, a Get Involved button and a form. And through this form, you can share with us the news you have published on your project website, your upcoming project events, latest released results, anything that you see in the sections that should be updated that is wrong, where you see that you have relevant information within your own projects that could be added. You can send it to us using this form. Of course, you can also always directly contact the info email address or myself. That works as well. You also have in that form the possibility to subscribe to the newsletter of the knowledge base. What we share in this newsletter is an excerpt of the latest news and event published there, but also announcement as to our stakeholder events, UCAD events, and also latest additions to the different sections of the knowledge base. And then you have also the possibility to subscribe to the stakeholder mailing list. The mailing list we use to invite you to our specific project organized events. So the workshops or webinars that we would organize, but also, of course, the UCAD events that we are co-organizing together with the European Commission and the CCAM Partnership. And then specifically for the EU-CEM, you have here again the QR code to this support page where you have all the information Satu explained, and you see here the two respective email addresses that are also anyway mentioned on that page. Then besides the CCAM knowledge base, the website as such, there are the social media related to the support action. They are actually in existence since 4. We are continuing those. And even though we're trying to follow the respective pages of all your projects, it's difficult to keep up in time. We're not there every minute of every day. So in order to avoid the risk of missing your news and events to be reshared, just tag our account, so Connected Automated Driving in Europe, and then in that way you'll be sure that we reshare this on the CCAMbassador or Connected Automated Driving in Europe page. There's also a similar account on X that you see here, so same drill there. And finally, we already have some announcement to make in relation with the next stakeholder workshop, which will in particular target the CCAM projects. We will organize this workshop in conjunction with the next RTR conference at a different venue though, and in the afternoon of the day preceding the conference start. So if you happen to be arranging your travels at the moment, please foresee then to take an earlier flight in the morning so you can join us that afternoon. It will be just a half-day workshop. And for those of you who have already attended our previous workshops, it will be in the form of interactive breakout thematic discussion groups between which you will be able to rotate, and we will exchange on different themes yet to be defined. The agenda will be prepared and shared with you as soon as possible, but that are related to the projects and what we need from the project as well. So as has been presented today. And last but not least, I mentioned that CCAMbassador is co-organizing the UCAD event. So you may know that every other year, alternating with the UCAD conference, there's a UCAD symposium. So this year we had the UCAD conference in May in Isfra. And so please mark your calendars, and we hope that you'll all be able to join us in Geneva next year in September for the UCAD Symposium 2026. And that is my last slide. So I don't know if my fellow presenters have anything to add. If not, or among the audience, a last chance to raise something. If not, then I would like to thank my colleagues from the project for their time, for their presentations, and thank you all for also taking the time, especially at such short notice, to be with us today. So as I mentioned, you will receive some follow-up information, and you'll be hearing a lot from us. So you'll meet this all these requests favorably. We thank you in advance for that. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice rest of the afternoon, and talk or see you soon, hopefully. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.